All right, ladies and gents, let's jump right into it. Last week, we introduced a couple of different animals showing you how to draw them step by step. It was your task to choose one of those animals and practice until you got it just right. And then at the end of the week, you were to draw one of those animals large and in charge. Well, I've chosen one here. As you can see, I have the jellyfish. And I'm going to be using watercolor paint, and it doesn't matter if you have the liquid kind like I have here or whether you have the kind that are in the cakes where you have to add the water directly to the solid color of the paint. Either one works really, really well. And then, of course, I have crayons here. And what I really want to go over is how you can use the crayons to kind of blend with. So first off, when we're going about choosing our colors, I know that I want him to be underwater. It's a jellyfish. So I'm going to use that color wheel since I know I want blues and blue greens and blue violets. And I'm going to use the color wheel to pick the orange. We've talked about using the color wheel. I have a video about using the color wheel as well. I'll link that in the description below. But we want colors that go really well together. And using that color wheel, we know that if we choose blue, the complementary color to blue is going to always be orange. And so I'm starting out the orange now. I'm going to start with the orange. And as you can see, I started very, very dark. That means I'm pressing heavily with the crayon. Just make sure you don't break it. But you press heavily starting out and you get a lot of orange on your paper. And then as I work my way across the jellyfish's body, I start coloring very lightly. Right, you see that? I don't have as much orange on my paper. The orange is getting lighter and lighter as I work my way across the jellyfish. And I'm just not pressing so hard. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret. I start out pressing very, very hard, heavily is how I call it. And then I don't press so hard as I work my way across. I just start coloring lighter and lighter and lighter until you almost don't see it anymore. And I want you to notice it's very gradual. I don't have a definite line that you can see that goes from the dark orange to the light orange, right? And that takes maybe a little bit of practice too. So if you want to practice on another sheet of paper, you can do that. Start off really, really dark and then continually get lighter and lighter and lighter until it almost like disappears. Now, I'm going to put that orange away. Once I get that orange done, I'm going to go back with the white because I want to protect the paper. Remember, we're going to be using watercolors. Now, if you don't have watercolor paints, you can continue with the crayons. Use whatever you have, but I did want to show you this in the parts that I want to stay light. I want to go back with that white and protect that part of the jellyfish. You know, I want it to look like I faded from the orange all the Oh, well, I just told you not to break it, and there I go breaking it. Oh, well, we're just going to keep on rocking and rolling. As I was saying, I want to protect the paper with the white. The white is going to protect the paper from the watercolor paint. So we call that wax resist. The wax in the crayon is going to protect the paper from the watercolor. It's almost like a raincoat, right? You go outside when it's raining with the raincoat on and you don't get wet. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Okay, so after I put a few more squiggly lines in there just to add a little visual interest, we're going to go ahead and move to the watercolor paints. Now, the more water you use with watercolor paints, the lighter your color is going to be. And with watercolors, you actually want to start light. And then if it's too light, you can add a little extra color later, but it's impossible to do the opposite. So see, I'm testing it out here. It's impossible to lighten it up once it's too dark, right? So as you can see, I'm starting with a fairly light color blue. I'm doing a watercolor wash is what this technique is called, a watercolor wash. And you notice that the wax from the crayon, it's protecting the paper, right? You actually see the little squiggly lines popping out because along those squiggly lines, that wax in the crayon is actually protecting the paper. It's protecting it. That's why it's popping out like that. Anyway, so of course now I'm into the green, and I am blending my green into the blue, kind of blending them back and forth. And as long as the paper is wet, blending and watercolors seem to like go hand in hand. It's very easy to do, blending with watercolors. After the green, I'm gonna move on to the purple. Notice that I make sure my brush was clean. And now I'm moving to the purple, and I'm going to put that as the last color in the background. Little pro tip here, always have a napkin handy, like nearby, because it helps not only with making sure that your brush is clean, but also if you have way too much water on your painting, you can dab it back off. And so here we go. I think I want to darken up my blue a little bit. Let me darken up my blue. So I'm going to put a straight color into my cup here, and I'm only going to add a itty bitty amount of water here. And when I mix that together, I'm going to get a darker blue, and I'm going to go back over the blue section of my paper with this darker color blue, taking care that I am blending properly, because I don't want those harsh lines between the layer of dark blue that I used and then the layer that's under it of the light colors that I used. This is what we're doing today, and I would like you now to go and have fun.